Hey guys, my name is Dean. Welcome to Manful Yoga. In this video, I'm going to be talking about knee pain. What are some common causes and how can you prevent it? So most of us have had knee pain at some point. Whether you're inactive or inactive, there are a lot of causes of knee pain. And most people have had some sort of, especially if you work out, you've probably had some sort of ligament tear or some sort of tendon issue, something like MCL, ACL, or meniscus. And you might even continue to be injury prone in your knees or have recurring knee pain. The pain or injury risk is an issue because it can prevent you from wanting to work out. It can make you scared of certain exercises. And a big issue is that most people don't understand why they have knee pain in the first place. So even if they did want to address the knee pain, they don't know exactly what they should be doing. So it's important to develop strength, correct your movement patterns, and also make sure that you're exercising appropriately for your activity of choice. So I'm going to go in a little bit deeper into these issues. First, I'm going to talk about common issues, some just common symptoms of having knee pain and knee issues in general. I'm going to talk about some challenges and some causes, why kind of most people's lifestyle can lead to knee pain and what are some common causes. And then I'm going to talk about what you can do to prevent injury in your knees and how to strengthen your knees, as well as a few of the workouts and programs that I use and that I've created to help people with this. So number one, let's talk about common knee pain and knee injury issues. And the first part is pain in your knees during exercise or the day afterwards. So this is exercise-related pain. For you people who are, maybe you do squats and you have pain in your knee, and maybe the day afterwards your knees are kind of sore. So that's one way. Number two is quicking or grinding in your knees. So you might feel kind of cracking or grinding or crunchiness, so to speak, in your knee when you're bending your knee and flexing your knee. You could have ligament or tendon issues, tears or injuries. So maybe you've had an MCL issue, maybe you've had an ACL issue, or maybe you've had surgery in the past, maybe you have a meniscus tear, something like that. And then also you might have an aversion to exercise that has hurt your knee in the past. So this is really harmful because we'll avoid exercises that are actually really good for our knees, such as squats or deadlifts or running. Well, running is in moderation, but we avoid them because we don't have proper mechanics or we don't have the right strength to avoid pain. So challenges. What are some challenges to avoiding knee pain and avoiding knee injury? And the first is that we're just not working on the proper strength in our ankles and our hips and our core. So those are the muscles that connect to and work with the knees. And when those muscles aren't strong, then the knees have to do more work. We're putting a disproportionate amount of work on the knees instead of spreading it out through the body. So that's a big part of it. The second part, I think, is ignorance about knee health. So most people think that the knee might function on its own kind of independently of the other parts of the body, but the truth is that most knee joint issues aren't caused by the joint itself. The joint is just where the movement breaks down, so to speak. So we need to work on strengthening our hips, strengthening our core, strengthening our glutes, working on the strength and mobility, and also correcting movement patterns. And that's what will really fix knee issues. Not addressing the knee joint itself, but actually working on the connecting tendons and muscles and ligaments. Number three, I think a big issue is the lack of muscle activation. So people just aren't using the muscles in their core, they're not using the muscles in their glutes or in their hips, and they're using all knees when they're doing their workout. So that's kind of what I was talking about before. It's a muscular imbalance. It puts an unnecessary amount of stress on the knees. We're not using these big muscles in the hips and in the glutes and the core to help us out, and that can lead to, again, a lot of unnecessary stress on the knee. It can be frustrating, and it can make you want to avoid exercise altogether. That's kind of the last challenge, and I touched on that. But when you have knee pain, you want to keep avoiding knee pain. So you could just avoid exercise in general because you just don't know the right exercises to strengthen your knees without hurting your knees. So that's a big issue, is that we just don't know what we should be doing to fix the knees, and a lot of typical exercise just makes the knees feel worse. Knee pain can also be caused by improper movement patterns. So if you're not doing a squat correctly, if you're not running correctly, if you're not whatever the exercise, if you're not doing a proper technique, then that can put, again, unnecessary stress on the knee. That can make the exercise feel painful. So we need to make sure that we're doing the exercises correctly and using proper movement patterns. And then the last problem I'll talk about is imbalanced training programs or inappropriate or inadequate training programs. So if your goal is to play soccer, let's say, and you want to make sure that your knees stay injury proof, then you can't just do yoga or you can't just do running. You have to do a combination of exercises to address your knee health as a whole. You can't just expect that your knee will be okay. So it's important that you're doing the right exercises and you're doing the right types of fitness to strengthen your knee based on the activity that you want to be doing. All right. So how do you strengthen knees and prevent injury? Let's talk about this. Strengthening, and I think the number one way you can do this is strengthening and improving the muscle activation of your hips, your glutes, your core, and your ankles. So these are the parts of your body that support healthy knee function. And when they're not doing what they're supposed to, again, that leads to unnecessary stress in your knees. You're putting all of the work, all of the weight of your body in your knees. You're not using these big muscles in your hips. Your hips aren't supporting you. If you have a weak core, that means that you're also not going to be leaning back into a squat. So you're going to kind of lean forward like this instead of leaning back into the squat, kind of sitting down into the squat and getting that weight into your butt instead of in the knees. So working on that muscle activation, doing slow exercises, isometric exercises to improve muscle fiber recruitment for those muscles is a really important thing to do. And you have to go slow, and you have to work on developing kind of mind-body awareness in order to fix that. Number two is improving the flexibility and the mobility of your hips, your ankles, and your spine. So your knees are a hinge joint, right? If you look at my knee, right, it bends and then it extends. It's straight, right? It doesn't move at all. I'm moving my hip. My hip moves, right? My hip moves in circles. It's called a ball and socket joint. It's much more mobile than my knee. My ankle, also a mobile joint, that moves. So when we don't have ankle mobility, when we don't have hip mobility, that means that the knee has to make up for that lack of mobility. And the knee doesn't move. So when that knee moves, right, when it does something other than bend and extend, that leads to injury. That's what leads to those tendon tears or those, like an ACL, a total ACL tear, or an MCL strain, or a meniscus issue. So we need to make sure that we're working on the mobility of those areas. And then the next thing that you need to do is correct your movement patterns. So if you're exercising with improper technique, if you're moving your body in ways that it did not evolve to move in, then that can lead to knee pain, that can lead to knee injury. So you need to be moving your body properly. In order to do that, you need to make sure that you have either a good coach, you have a good online tutorial, wink, wink, or you are somehow learning about proper technique, feeling the exercise the way you're supposed to, using the right muscles, and just in general doing the exercise safely and efficiently. And not only does that help you avoid injury, but it also helps you be stronger. So it helps you move more weight, it helps you be faster, whatever your goals are, it will help you be better at that. And then finally, you need to make sure that you're doing training that's appropriate for your activity of choice. So if you are a runner, you need to make sure that you're doing things that help to complement your running training. If you are an athlete, let's say you play soccer or you play football or lacrosse, then you need to make sure that you're doing sport-specific exercises and drills to help mimic what you would do when you're on the field. Right? So you need to prepare your body for what you're going to go through, for the stress that it's going to go through when you're playing or participating in your activity of choice. You also need to work on mobility, you need to work on flexibility, you need to work on strength. So all of those things should be included in your program, especially if you're doing something high impact like soccer or running, if you want to avoid injury, discomfort, or pain. So if you want to learn anything about what I just said and you want to see that in a blog format, make sure to head to the link below. I have a whole blog on strengthening your knees and preventing injury in your knees on my website at manfulyoga.com. And then some things that I've developed at Manful Yoga, I have a program called Bulletproof Your Knees. And this program was made out of my personal experience. I've had knee injuries since I was 13 or 14. I had knee surgery when I was 16. And I've had issues with my knee since then. The last issue that I had was when I was 24, and since then I've learned more about my knees. I've learned about strengthening the hips, and I don't have knee issues anymore because I've addressed those issues. So I put the best postures and the best exercises for that into this program called Bulletproof Your Knees. The workouts are about 30 to 35 minutes long. You should be doing at least 2 to 3 workouts per week. You can combine it with what you're already doing, and it's all available on my website in the Manflow Yoga members area, again, at manflowyoga.com. So we also developed this concept of paths at Manflow Yoga to help you identify your specific goals, your specific challenges, and follow a program that works on that specific issue or challenge. And people who fit into, who are interested in knee injury prevention and strengthening the knees typically fit into one or more of the following paths at Manflow Yoga. Number 1 is the injury prevention and rehab path. Number 2 is low impact fitness. So these are people who have had knee issues in the past with high intensity or high impact exercise and looking for something that will be more gentle on the knees. And then we've also got yoga for athletes, because a lot of athletes, runners, team sports, endurance athletes will be able to tolerate their knee pain or the knee discomfort, but they understand that it's something that they should address. They want to be proactive about it. And so this is a really good program for that. That Bulletproof Your Knees program. And that's it. So guys, make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Put out different content there on a very regular basis. And if you like this video, leave a like, comment, share it. And I hope you learned something. Hope you got something out of this, and I hope to see you on another one of my videos in the near future. Have a good one.